F1's ongoing success, a new Apple News option, and Apple CEOs then and now. This is MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by Clean My Mac and the new Cloud Cleanup feature. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use the code MacVoices20 for 20% off at cleanmy.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is MacVoices Live. It's Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. I hope you will be here next time, because if you're here now, you're probably already in the chat room. But if you're not, then join us every Tuesday in the chat room. Share your ideas, your thoughts on what we're talking about, and just in general abuse the crew, because that seems to be one of the favorite pastimes of the chat room. We have a lot to get through tonight. You didn't think there's much happening, but there's a lot happening out there. So we're going to get through what we can. But first, we're going to get through the introductions. Top left of my screen in the corner, Mr. David Ginsburg on a new microphone tonight. David, good to have you.
Yeah, what the heck? I thought I'd try a little bit. This is a Rode NT USB, and it's a condenser mic, which I'm not normally used to, but hopefully I'm sounding good, and glad to be here as always.
Yeah, absolutely. You sound great.
Thank you.
Marty Jencius is here. Marty, from what you said pre-show, this is your third podcast today?
Yeah, I recorded 2 today. I've got a third pro note to do after the show. So it's been a busy podcast day, but I'm trying to clear out my week because I'm doing some traveling at the latter part of the week. So, and this is not a new microphone, but it is a new microphone cover. So I switched from blue to black. So,
okay. Sounds suspiciously the same. Yeah. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs is here. He's back in a tie. Brian, it's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be back. Good to be back in a tie as well.
Not too many people would say that. But
of the routine, though.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of corpse say that.
Oh boy. Webb Bixby is here with a very bright background quilt. Webb, it's great to have you. What do you have behind you tonight?
Well, this is the quilt that I put on for the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, the summer training camp started this week, and I'm the eternal optimist and a homer. So go Chiefs. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, you certainly are showing your colors. No question about it. Guy Serle is back after a bit of an absence. Guy, it's great to have you, but you're always on a new microphone, so I'm not even going to bother to ask.
This is actually the microphone that I've been using for a while. I picked it up. It was a steal. For about $100, I got a Heil PR35, which normally sells for it's like over $200. It was a great deal at the time.
Yeah, for any Heil, $100 is a pretty darn good deal. You might be able to buy a cable for it for $100.
Well, at this point, since I'm not working, there won't be a whole lot of microphone purchases going forward.
I see. Well, it's good to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Jim Ray is here. He is still hanging out with the Cupertino background. Jim, is it just wishful thinking, or is this going to be a new permanent home?
You know, when I logged on, I was mentioning the Zoom settings. It was because I was looking to see if I should change the background, but I think I'll stick with this for a while. It's still a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's very, very summery. That works. Yeah. That works. Mark Fuccio joined just in under the wire to get introduced. Mark, it's good to see you, and you've got a lot of tech in that background. What all's going on in there? Oh, microphone.
It's all old tech that he wants to recycle.
I think he needs to recycle the microphone. Mark, we don't have anything from you.
He keeps talking.
Yeah, we see your lips move, and you're not showing you're muted. So
He just smiles.
He's,
Uh,
we still don't hear you.
nope. Nope.
Nope.
Okay, we're going to come back to Mark to hear about his background once he gets his microphone going. Folks, we have one little PSA tonight, and I don't know if anyone here has experienced this, but Lifehacker, this coming to you courtesy of Lifehacker, there apparently is a scam email, a scam text message going on, not the ones that we're all familiar with. In fact, I just got another one, but this has to do with your iCloud storage. And so if you have received anything like that, or you want to know what's going on, please check the link. I just put it in the chat rooms, and I'm also going to put it in the show notes. This just goes without saying, anything that is a link in a chat, don't click. Go, if you have question, in this case, it's about iCloud, log into your iCloud account. If there really is something going on, the message will be there. But don't click on anything, because you don't know what you'll be downloading or surrendering. I got a new one today, I have to admit. I had not seen this one before, that said, your phone number is in my phone, but I have no idea who you are. Could you remind me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
really?
a lot of those.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that was a new one for me. That, and of course the traffic violations.
Yeah.
So
I just did a trip to Michigan, and they have all along the turnpikes where they have the little like signs and stuff that they can put messages on. Almost every single state had a message on their signs saying, we will not contact you to pay for a ticket, through chat or whatever. It's a scam.
Wow. Okay, the panel is filling out. Mark Fuccio, do you have a microphone? Can you hear me, Mark? Now he can.
Sure,
Nope, we can't hear
I
you.
can hear you. I just don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
How was that?
Didn't sound at all like Mark.
I thought it
So
sounded just like him.
But
Mark, I gather you can't hear us, and we can't hear you. So we'll come back to you. Jeff Gamet, though.
Shaman Luigi, I can't believe you can't hear me. How was that?
That still doesn't even sound. I don't know what that sounds like. It's disturbing.
It's Mark. Isn't that just Mark's voice? I mean, he was talking.
It's marriage.
How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing great.
I didn't think you were going to make it, so I'm delighted.
It's short version. A lot of stuff ended up changing with the schedule today, and while I'm late, at least I was able to make it.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. We're going to move on one more time. Mark, you there yet? Nope. Okay. This is the first story, the actual story of the evening. I'm trying to figure out what happened. Oh, I see. Jeff, when you came in, you extended the chat. So there we go. We talked about this last week. This is just an updated number that Apple's F1 movie now crossed the $500 million mark at the global box office. Impressive to say the least. So this, I think now, F1 seems to be, if I remember correctly, the news that it's neck and neck with Superman. The only difference is that Superman took 2 weeks to get there. F1 took like 4. So any way you take it, it's a nice number.
It has a big star, but really at the end of the day, it's a relatively small budget picture that didn't have a whole lot of advertising. And it seems like it's mostly been word of mouth that has brought in the audiences. And the fact that, I don't know how much it costs to make, but I'm sure Apple is delighted with its performance. And I think that going forward, that this, Apple could, their next bit of revenue could come from producing movies that actually go through the movie theaters first. Crazy talk.
Well, they also want to
That
give
is
it the
crazy
opportunity. They also want to give it the opportunity to, if it can be an Academy Award qualified movie, you have to put it in the movie theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Webb?
I still haven't seen the movie, and I'm still the race fan. Like I said, I've been all over this planet going to Formula One races. I've been to Germany and France and just all over the place, Canada too. And I went to all the races in Indianapolis. So I am a true Formula One fan. So I was looking at the theater down the street from my house to see it again. It is now every other day at 9:50 p.m. at night. That's the only time they're showing it. So it's kind of hit its peak, and it's starting on the downhill slide of movie releases. So, and I still haven't seen it. Still disappointed that I haven't seen it. Yet some of you have heard me say this. I am officially, as of yesterday at 5 o'clock, I am on my forced vacation. That I have to vacate the office. I can't go in. I can't attend any meetings, and the external auditors come in and go through all my stuff and make sure I'm not reloading any of the company's money. So I have all this time, and I just don't want to go to a movie at 10 o'clock at night.
Webb, I thought I saw something that they're going to re-release this
That's what
in
I was gonna
IMAX.
say.
Yeah,
I've heard
August
that.
8th. On August 8th, they're going to re-release it on IMAX.
yeah, because I'm with you, Webb. I haven't seen it either. I really want to, and when I read that, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna put it on my schedule and do it because I really want to see this in IMAX.
I'm going to wait.
Okay.
Well, come on over. I'll pay for your ticket. So
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to do
To the
that
movie.
too.
When does the 3D version come out?
It's out right now, guy. We're watching it.
Guy,
Oh.
when you go see the movie, does it take half as long or twice as long?
Oh, twice
Get
as
through.
long.
Okay.
Process it both through one eye.
There's nothing sacred when it comes to this group. I tell you,
Oh,
No,
It's
not
just-
at all.
it is amazing. Out of curiosity, though, how many people here have seen it? Okay, how many people want to see it? There we go. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait until it comes out through Apple TV.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
there has to be nowadays because, movie theaters used to be the kind of thing, or movies used to be the kind of thing that you would go to just on a whim. It'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll go see that. But now with just how awful so many people are in movie theaters these days, quite frankly, if I can watch a movie on a 55 to 65 inch screen with decent sound at home, I'll pop my own damn popcorn, and just sit there and enjoy it there. And if I have to pee, I don't have to, wait until, okay, well, nothing's probably going to happen in the next 10 minutes and come back and find out the murderer was this person and you completely missed it. So, I can just hit pause and
Wait, who's my father?
back and finish it.
I 98% agree with you, but I think this movie could be an exception where to see it on an IMAX screen would be worth it.
Yeah, I agree, Jim. That's one reason I'm kind of holding out. But this is off topic, but it's also on topic. The last time I went to the movie theater was, I guess now it's a couple months ago, and the movie was quite affordable, but the concessions were insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Why
like
would you ever even go near the concessions?
because that's where they were selling the tickets. That's the only reason I did.
Oh,
Because it's look, you want how much for a candy bar? You want what for a tin of popcorn?
Wait,
I mean,
so you bought your ticket at the
once.
theater?
yes.
Because nowadays I find you can't do that. They're all gone by then. You have to buy it online and select your seat.
Depends on the movie.
Well, here in California, if you just show up, you're going to be sitting in the front row going like this.
Wow. So there's that many attendees? What? That's impressive.
Well, I mean, if it's a popular movie, I mean, maybe if you go Tuesday afternoon to something that's been out for a month, but if it's something that's playing, you've got to buy the other flip side is you can, just show up a half hour late because you've got a guaranteed seat and
skip all the trailers.
Skip all the trailers.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother discussion too.
But as I have recently did go to a movie theater not having bought a ticket in advance, and I was like, oh, I'm never doing that again.
Today's Mac Voices is supported by Clean My Mac and the new Cloud Cleanup feature. Not everything deserves external storage. Think about it. How many forgotten screenshots, duplicate downloads, or long-abandoned project files are still sitting in your cloud, quietly eating away at your space and your wallet? Clean My Mac's Cloud Cleanup helps you decide what stays and what goes. It connects your iCloud, OneDrive, and Google Drive accounts, scanning for large space-wasting files, whether they're synced or unsynced, both in your cloud and right on your Mac. Here's the part I love. All scanning happens locally on your Mac, so your data stays completely safe. If you're using Google Drive or OneDrive, just make sure you have their desktop apps installed and you're signed in. With Cloud Cleanup, you can remove files from your disk, evict them from only your cloud, or run a quick cleanup to instantly free up valuable gigabytes. Change your mind? No problem. You can restore your files with a single click. So instead of paying for more storage, or worse, letting the clutter continue to pile up, why not enjoy the mental clarity of a lighter, tidier cloud? Get tidy today. Try Clean My Mac free for 7 days and use my code MacVoices20 for 20% off at cleanmy.com/MacVoices. That's cleanmy, CLNMY.com/MacVoices. And the code MacVoices20 for 20% off. Thanks to MacPaw and Clean My Mac for supporting this week's Mac Voices. Apple has a new section of their website called In the Loop, which this article from 9 to 5 Mac says it solves its social media fragmentation problem. We had sort of a conversation about this a couple weeks ago about Apple going to Threads. And so I kind of think they may have been listening to us and sort of took some of the advice, especially advice Jeff was doling out, because now they can control the message. And it's not necessarily a press release kind of thing. It's more just an awareness kind of thing. So I applaud them for it. I think it's great. And I've just got to figure out a way to subscribe to it as opposed to having to go to it. But other than that,
so I was really puzzled by this story. What they're saying is Apple has invented a website.
You can look at it that way, Jim. You can look at it that way.
Web 4.0.
But if you look at the posts, they are more like a social media post as opposed to a press release.
Well, of course, social media is all websites, right? Twitter's a website, Facebook's a website, Threads is a web. They're all on the web, but and let's see. Okay, here's the site. So does it even have RSS?
No,
not that I've been able to find.
Yeah. So
it's the thing. It's embedded. You go to the page and it shows all the latest news. Then you got to scroll down halfway down the page till you see In the Loop.
Where is this?
I see. So
it's on apple.com/newsroom. That's where you find a section called In the Loop.
Then I saw Kansas City come up in Ted Lasso. So that was good for you, Webb.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's an interesting solution. I've wonder how it's going to evolve. But at least it does feel a little bit better than just having to slog through all the press releases with all the usual boilerplate. So I applaud them for that.
All right, Chuck, I'm jumping in.
Go for it.
I'm glad to see that Apple is doing this because, like I said, this is how you control the narrative, how you control the message. You don't rely on social media platforms for any of that. And Jim, yes,
It's
Apple
a blog,
has discovered
is what it is.
a website and a blog. Here's the problem, and I cannot applaud them for this, Chuck, because what they've done is half the job. They've got the content there, but they have not positioned it in a way so that it's easily accessible to a wide audience. You have to go to the apple.com/newsroom site to see and find this content. They don't have a separate RSS feed. They don't have a way to subscribe to this specifically. And that's what they need. They need to give people a way to subscribe.
You can't.
Now
What?
here's the irony.
You can't link to the items either.
You can share them.
Yeah.
How?
Click on one of them, and there's a share icon. Here's the irony, Chuck. The way they could do this super easy to make this shareable with a wide audience across multiple platforms is spin up their own Mastodon instance and then let it distribute out through the Fediverse. So then you'd be able to hit Threads and Blue Sky and Mastodon and whatever other services federate.
Interesting idea. And so in about 3 weeks, we'll be talking about Apple's new Mastodon presence because Jeff recommended it to them. Because that's kind of what happened here.
I hope my check is in the mail.
Jeff, we know how Apple likes to control the message, and I don't know why they would hate RSS or wouldn't be happy with that to get some of the info distributed. But
Well,
yeah,
they have RSS for the, or do they have RSS for the newsroom site? Crap. I
don't think so.
Look, I set up a thing through IFT where I've done some stuff behind the scenes to monitor the Apple newsroom site or page. So I get alerts every time Apple posts something on the newsroom site. I have not seen anything pop up from the.
I'm going to try to add it to my.
From the.
Yeah, there's that feed.
There's
There's
loop
an RSS
thing.
feed.
Okay. So we just need to get something for the in the loop. So take it for what it's worth.
Okay, so apparently I used the RSS feed with IFT, and it doesn't matter. The point is they need to have a separate access point for their in the loop content. And until they do that, this is not something that I would look at and say, oh yeah, the general public is going to get this short soundbite social media type information from Apple. It's not going to happen.
But since you can share it, I don't know how it shares out. I did not try that. I don't know if that's a way to get it out into other social media or whether it's just through some of the usual Apple sharing channels. So maybe it's a work in progress. Although that seems awfully strange.
Okay, so when you share, you have direct links for Facebook, X, email, and then you can just copy the link. So I just copied the link for one of the things, and there you go, Chuck. So that's great, except it's also not, because this should be something that can be done without me having to go and directly interact to get at this content.
Yeah, I agree. Marty?
Yeah, I find trying to get news about Apple rather frustrating. From Apple. They have a newsroom. A lot of the stories are fluff stories. It's not information about things that they're doing. I have to go to other sources to get it and to prepare for a show or to do things. And I just wish, when you say Apple needs to control its message, it doesn't seem like it is doing anything with a message other than some fluff stories about that are shared through this in the loop thing. I'm not getting anything about content or patents or things like that I have to go to other sources to get.
I think that's a Fortune 500.
Yeah.
I see the same thing like with car manufacturers,
Mm.
and you look at their news page and it's mostly fluff.
Yeah, I don't,
they're not in the news business.
yeah, and I'm not sure that any company's going to produce information on all their patents. So I know what you're saying, Marty, and I kind of agree. I think they could be channeling out information as opposed to PR or fluff that would benefit them. But on the other hand, they just leave it up to the media. So.
Yeah, if they were going to do that, they'd probably still.
Marty, my suggestion: watch MacVoices every Tuesday.
Yeah,
live.
Yeah. Live, just with us.
That's so crazy. It just might work.
Yep. I don't usually mention op-ed pieces, but I found this one to be very interesting. This is Tim Cook isn't going to get fired, and Steve Jobs isn't rolling over in his grave. This was on Apple Insider, and that's about all I want to say about it. It's just I feel like there are a number of things here that have been said on this show along the way about what Steve did, and why we shouldn't look at what Steve would do now, and what Tim has done, and the successes he's had, in spite of some of the facts that maybe he hasn't had the oh my god unbelievable whiz bang successes that Steve did, but he's been a solid performer. So I thought this was worth bringing up and pointing people to.
What does that even mean? I mean, Apple has made more money under Tim Cook than it, even accounting for inflation, than at any time in their existence as a company. So if you want to look at it in just financial ways, Tim Cook has taken Apple to a whole new level, and several times being the number one company in the world, whatever the hell that means. As far as innovation goes, it's mostly been more of the same. I know a lot of people, think along the lines of, well, what's going to be Tim Cook's legacy? And it's like, well, is it going to be the Apple Vision Pro? Probably not, and certainly not in its current form. Other than that, and how much money Apple has made, there's no one particular product that I can think of that Tim Cook had a hand in that would cement his legacy as being the person who was running the company.
His legacy is today. His legacy would be, this is the man that took Apple to $1 trillion and then tripled that. This is the man that had the vision to go beyond Steve Jobs. And I'll just come right out and say it, myopic view of the company. Steve Jobs looked at Apple as a hardware company, and that was it. And Tim Cook is the person that was like, yeah, no, Steve's wrong. Apple is a lot more than a hardware company. And excuse me. So he has grown the company in a way Tim Cook was not capable of doing. He's the person that had a vision.
Other way around, you mean?
Yes.
Tim Cook is the way Steve Jobs couldn't, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. Tim Cook has grown the company in a way Steve Jobs was never capable of doing. Tim Cook is the man who has the vision of Apple as a company that can find ways to sustain itself for decades to come, and is no longer in a position where it will have to rely solely on hardware sales in the long term to keep the company afloat.
Yeah. Services is like one of the biggest growing segments of the company.
Funny you should bring that up, because I remember in this article, I read through it earlier today, and Chuck, I actually did a small bit of prep for the show for once and read one of the articles. In this piece, it talks about how Tim Cook famously made the 4 quadrants for what Apple does. And people now say, well, Tim Cook has totally messed that up, and it's this convoluted mess. And Jobs, his 4 quadrants, it was desktop, laptop, and what was it? Mobile.
It was professional and consumer.
Yeah, it was professional and consumer. There we go. Thank you. And what Tim Cook has done, I think he still has given us 4 quadrants, but it's different from what Steve Jobs had. So Tim has hardware's 1 quadrant, software's another quadrant, services, and entertainment. So he's diversified the company in a way that I think ultimately makes it stronger. Steve Jobs, if you want to say Steve would have never done that, no kidding. Steve was not capable of doing this, but Tim is.
Yeah. And the other problem with relying on one product is you are one, oh my God, here's an amazing idea, away from going broke, said BlackBerry. So frankly, the iPhone has been an amazing, it's been an amazing run for Apple. The fact that so many people buy it every single year, even though it's quite frankly not all that much different than what was there the year before. But it's not sustainable. So by having the company, and this is kind of what almost killed Apple in the 90s, is they were so focused on their Mac products and trying to diversify that into 3 different kinds of computers that really weren't all that different from one another. And again, if Apple had continued on where the iPhone is the be all and end all of what Apple is making, well, then what happens when somebody comes along and out iPhones them? Then they're screwed because they have nothing else. But with services, and I quite frankly think that services and entertainment kind of go hand in hand with the way that's delivered.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an area that Apple has grown into and has certainly made a number of missteps over the years as they've gotten there. But it's a whole new source of revenue for them that I quite frankly don't think anyone in Apple, including Tim Cook, foresaw until it became a thing. Steve Jobs certainly laid the groundwork with iTunes, but that was flawed in such a way that it didn't take into account, the end of cable services and streaming. So now here we are today in a whole new landscape, and Apple is well suited to take advantage of it.
Marty?
Yeah, I kind of think when the question was raised, what would Tim Cook's legacy be? Not in a product per se, because a lot of the products that we talk and use about were initiated before Tim kind of took reins in the company. But I would say for me, one of the things that's recognizable in this generation is the health piece that Apple seemed to have integrated into phones and watches and in other devices. And then privacy has become a big issue where I'm not sure privacy was as big in the forefront back in Jobs days. And I just think that the personal use of devices, the consumer use of devices has kind of increased under Tim.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, when I was looking at this article, I really appreciated how the author went back and forth on noting the qualities of each of these CEOs, noting both positive and negatives, things that there were missteps, things that went wrong along the way, jobs in Attenagate, looking at Tim Cook and the cost that was invested in the Apple Card program, things of that nature that it shows the humanity of these two men who are leading this, multi-trillion-dollar company, and how that their personalities shine through. And it's, I think too often you see people who get into one camp or another and put these people on pedestals and they could do no wrong. But I really appreciated that the time taken to really show the flaws, but the flaws in that everyone has, and they're making their decisions and the risks that were taken for these different products and services.
Jim?
I'm kind of thinking that this conversation is kind of going a long way the other way. And I'm hearing a lot of like Steve Jobs would have never done this or that. But first of all these people at Apple are still basically all Steve Jobs hires. I mean, Tim Cook, that was Steve Jobs's pick. So, he must have had some idea what, Tim Cook was going to be like and thought that was a good direction. And, you're also talking about entertainment and whatnot. Well, that's Eddie Q, who was, Steve Jobs hired him and whatnot. So, I'm not sure obviously things would be different somehow, but it's not clear to me, we never would have gone into entertainment, or we never would. I'm not sure that that's true. I mean, iTunes was already, they were selling music, and, that what's happened is sort of an outgrowth of that. And I also think, the iPhone is still really the core of this whole thing. And if you talk about service revenue, well, first of all, my understanding isn't a huge percentage of services, quote unquote, services revenue is actually $20 billion that Google pays in order to be on the search bar of the iPhone. So no iPhone, no $20 billion. It's really just part of the iPhone revenue, and a lot of the other service revenue is really just part of, the iPhone franchise too. I mean, there's no Android buyers in general aren't giving Apple money for services revenue. That's all an outgrowth of, you got to sell the hardware or, no services. So, I still kind of think the core of, is really iPhone and beyond even what the percentage of the iPhone numbers are. And even things, like AirPods, probably not too many Android users buy AirPods. You got to buy the main Apple thing, and then maybe you buy a watch, and maybe you buy, an Apple TV, maybe you buy an AirPods, but it's mostly you buy an iPhone first, and then all this stuff is add-ons. And so, yeah, sure, they've grown out. Of course, it's been 15 years. The product line has grown out and expanded. And I'm not saying this, I'm not criticizing Tim Cook. If anything, like I'm saying, Steve Jobs was like, the really interesting thing is going to be see what's after Tim Cook, because there's just, well, I don't know. I don't think anybody really, when Jobs was around, nobody, there was some clue, because Jobs, had these medical things where he was gone for a while, and Tim was put in as interim. Steve made him interim CEO at that time. But right now, I think we have no idea what is going to be, what's going to come after Tim Cook. There doesn't seem to be any clue as to who will be leading Apple at that point.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, we're called, again, you just mentioned it, Jim. We're talking about 15 years ago, and so much has changed. I mean, not necessarily Apple, but the world. I mean, so much has evolved in technology. A lot of the products have been brought in. Tim was allowing a lot more flexibility. When Johnny Ive left, we saw a lot of change with the design because there was so much restraint to the way design was, but now it's been more open than ever. We got the M series silicon processors. I never thought that could happen. We thought we'd be on Intel. That change happened as well. Comparing Steve to Tim, it was a different era. I mean, Steve was great, and I understand that. He also experienced the executive shake up like Jeff Williams and Luke Mastriani, and the CFO, and he still has complete control of the company, and the stock has performed relatively well over all those years. Like anything on the stock market, it goes up and down, but as long as Tim wants to continue to work and he wants to continue on, and it's obviously the way he does, I don't see anything changing. But yeah, we got a plan, just like any company has to have a succession plan. You don't know what'll happen. But yeah, I thought the article was good to give that comparison, but was fair on Tim Cook's side.
Jim, quick follow up to Dave.
You mentioned the M1, and I guess even the ARM processors in the phone, but that's also goes back to the PA Semi purchase, which I believe was 2008, right? So that's still firmly, that was a decision Steve Jobs made that led into that.
Yep.
So even though it's been 15 years, we're still seeing ramifications of foundations that Jobs laid.
I'm going to throw one more thing out as far as Tim's legacy. Is he's the guy that came in after Steve and didn't have the company crash and burn in any sense. I mean, he has gone in, everything you all have said, he built it up, but I remember there being a lot of trepidation when they started talking about Steve stepping down and then eventually, having to step down. And, okay, yes, Tim did have some good training times in there, but when Steve was still around, that he took the reins. But the fact that he's continued, I guess, how do you measure success? Is it measured in dollars? Is it measured in revolutionary products? Is it measured in product mix? I think depending on what you want to measure it by, that's where you're going to decide what the legacy is and whether Tim has been a success or not. But I know for my money, in every sense, I think he has been. It's just been different because the world was different. So
I certainly don't see how you could argue that Tim Cook has not been a success.
Well, there are people out there, Jim, if you haven't
I
noticed
agree.
it.
But they're just contrarians that, they're trying to draw attention to themselves for, if you say something that's contrary, then I think that's all that is.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.